Hey arm wrestlers, let's talk about banning already banned athletes from competition and why it is bad. Because I read online that some people are very confused. Why is it bad? And I even read a comment where it said that, this kind of things is holding arm wrestling back. And I was like, wow. So if you go to a doping tested event and get caught for using doping, and then you kind of run away to different promotions, still compete, but you are, let's say, you're sentenced to 2 or 4 years ban, that's holding arm wrestling back. Not that you just broke the rules, try to escape the punishment, showing that there's no consequences to your action. That's not holding arm wrestling back. The situation is more with North Americans because they're very new to this. I say it sincerely because I know the whole situation, how it is there. So I will just try and explain the situation so you understand it. So big international leagues, not leagues or even umbrellas like IFA and WAF are both following WADA code, which means there's doping tests in their continental and world championship. Not all countries, but some countries have national testing. Like here in Latvia, we just did nationals in April. I think 6 people get tested out of 70, so about 8% get tested. We have out of competition testing that will show up just 6 a.m. at your house and you have to do a doping test. For every country, it's a little bit different. If you come from different country, you also have to do a doping test here in Latvia, right? If they say like you have to, you're competing in any of our competitions, there's a chance you might have to do a doping test. I was in Norway and I had to do a doping test there, right? So we follow those things for one very big reason, right? For arm wrestling to be recognized as a real sport. I can't express this enough. People don't understand this. For arm wrestling to be recognized as a real sport. If you look at all the major sports in the world, even professional sports, they all do doping testing. They all do some kind of testing, right? Arm wrestling is still new, and I think professional arm wrestling right now is wild, wild west. But the thing is, everyone knows what you're getting yourself into. If you go to tested competition and you're full of everything, and then you get caught, don't act like this is weird, right? The problem for me right now, and I'll explain this, was with the athletes that got caught and they still competed in competitions. Right now, my knowledge, AMC and Arizona State, I think this is why this whole thing is up in a big conversation. So I thought it might be on promoters, but most of the promoters just don't know. They just don't know. Well, at some point you might know if someone tells you and you ignore it, then it's on promoters. Then you're putting all the other athletes that are competing your events at risk, and all the referees, everyone, right? They could be really, because doping violations are some of the biggest violations you can do in any sport. But now I know it's athletes. Not that I know, but I think if you compete in multiple times, right? It's athletes. I think you are doing really bad things for our sport. You're doing egoistical things for our sport. Arm wrestling is a very egotistical sport in itself, but you're not helping me by showing the world how bad arm wrestling is, how bad we follow the rules, how there's no consequences to the actions. That's how I feel. So I don't give a what you think. I think all the people that competed now, while they are with a doping ban, they're doing real harm to the sport I love. That's how I feel. Second thing, you're doing real harm to yourself. I'll explain why. So if you did something, you get caught, let's say your sentence is 4 years. If you ignore your sentence and you can continue to arm wrestle, let's say you get caught in national competition, and then you go to a different country like some guys do and compete there, but your national team or national doping agency still sees it. If you're trying to get back and compete on national, you most likely will get an extended sentence. And that extended sentence might go, because if you violated your ban multiple times, even to a lifetime disqualification. We see this so many times. There's nuances. Every league has a different league. Arm wrestling is WADA code, and it's very, very simple. First offense, up to 4 years most of the time. maybe 2 years if you take a diuretic or something. Sometimes it's like even smaller sentences, and then lifetime ban, right? So we get situation here in Latvia a few years ago where two athletes, they posted positive for diuretics and something was like methamphetamine or something. They took a pre-workout and they proved that it was, and they get it like smaller sentence, year and a half. They were scrubbed from all the results from that because like you're invalid for competing, void, and they waited out their sentence, and then they came back, and then they get tested again. I think on a first or second competition they came back. That's how it works out, right? So sentences, and this is rules are to follow, and I know there's a lot of situations where it's messy, right, and a lot of things that are on a list that shouldn't be on a list, but rules are rules. And especially when you broke the rules and now you try to escape it by going to a different country and competing, or going to a league that ignores it. I really think that it's not good for the sport. It cannot be good for the sport. If our dream is to get into Olympics, how are we gonna get there if there's no consequences to your actions, if you can just do what if you want to do, right, and then pretend like everyone else is at fault? And like I read so many things that like North Americans on the comment section, they're like, yeah, why would they ban and not allow to compete and things like that? But most of the time I see North Americans are politics is everywhere. Like, show me where there is no politics involved in something. There's the consequences to all the actions. Like, and it's always your choice. You might not like the choice you presented to, but it's your choice. Like, if you, a promoter, allow doping tested athletes to compete in your events, cool. But just be ready that, and you have to inform the athletes that are going to those events that they might get banned. Like there's rules competing together, doping tested athletes. There's rules about it. Like, you can go and Google and find out. Like, there's severe consequences to all these things, and I'm trying my best to look at arm wrestling and trying to see direction we're going. And I think, yeah, professional arm wrestling, it's definitely cool. But without amateur arm wrestling, without us getting to levels where it's recognized in every country, it's a real sport, and people get paid money from their government or whatever the system is, that is like the core of these things. Because the professional arm wrestling, it's still a very small number. And the argument saying like, well, there's a lot of, guys that are still using and openly use, they don't go to these kind of competitions. They don't go to these kind of competitions, and if they go, most likely they will get tested there. If you've been using and then you quit for some time and they come back and they test you, don't be surprised if you pop red or something. So right now, just like saying like, oh, this is WAF making the rules. It's not WAF making the rules, it's WAF following the guidelines with most countries in the world want to follow, because we want to be in a position where arm wrestling is recognized as a real sport. Not only WAF, IFA, two biggest umbrellas right now, same thing. IFA, go look at IFA ban list. Every big major sport is doing doping tests. Every big major sport. Like UFC was tested like so many times, and it's a professional sport, right? There's rules to follow. And I really don't understand why would someone think it's a good idea to allow people that fail these things and protect them and allow them to compete. And I think they really are doing big harm to the sport and to themselves, because eventually you want to come back and compete at WAF. And if they say like, listen, we know you broke the rules and we're going to extend your sentence, right? That's absolutely, I think, could happen. So yeah, that's just my take. I hope I kind of catched on everything. Let me know in the comments. Maybe let's make a live stream about this. And I would love to get someone who argues against this. Like I would think no person that loves arm wrestling would argue against this, right? Why would you allow one athlete that's banned and risk losing hundreds? Like, it's absolutely nonsense. Yeah, that's kind of my take. I don't know. Stay strong. Love arm wrestling. Don't do drugs.